What's going on Facebook? My name is John Wallace. I'm sitting here at Chasing Recovery's first home. My boy Timothy Brammer right here. Say what up, homie.
What up, homie?
I'm helping him get this place set up right now before we do this deal. You guys will hear more from Timmy later, man. That's chasingrecovery.org. So check it out. I'm a dope fiend. Live or die. No matter how I feel, happy, mad, sad, glad, good or bad, I get loaded. I started putting a needle in my arm at a really young age. And I didn't stop. There weren't any consequences, there weren't any bribes, there weren't any threats or rewards that could keep me from getting loaded again. There's nothing. Not my baby boy or anything I held dear. How you doing, Tina? So, along that path that I took, I found out a lot of things about myself and the world around me. I went to a lot of treatment facilities that informed me about the facts about my condition. I knew there was something wrong. I hit every single degree of homelessness, incarceration, everything along the way. You can go around to any smack shack, tweaker pad, or bar room in America and find people with the same problem as me. So I don't want to stay dwelling on that. I want to talk more about solution. But let's start with where I was. I started slamming dope really early. I didn't have the buildup that a lot of people do. I didn't start off smoking pot and this and that. No, I went straight for methamphetamines, and I loved them. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They provided a sense of ease and comfort that nothing else ever had, and they made me feel whole, like Superman. This trick got pulled in my head, though. I mean, the dopamine spike, the intense stimulation of my mind and my body that drug provided, tricked my brain into thinking that it was necessary for survival. This is survival shoes, so I want to get in with that. Like addiction doesn't live up here in the part of the brain that thinks and makes plans and has dreams. It doesn't live in the part of the brain that loves and thinks about the future and dwell. It doesn't think in that part. It's way down in the subconscious, midbrain. It's down there in that same part of your brain that tells you it's time to breathe, blink, poop. It's in the primal. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I know that I made solemn oaths that I didn't want to do dope no more on my way to the Connect's house. I know that I love my son more than anything else in the entire world, and the only thing that's ever kept me from him is dope and my habit. I've gotten away from it for periods of time and seen how wonderful the family comes back, the life comes back, and then return to it. Like a fool to his folly, this dog returns to his vomit. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a dope fiend, Godless and bottomless, and I reached all kinds of bottoms there, man. I thought I was going to hit one at a few different points. I thought that there was going to be this jarring, burning bush moment where all of a sudden I either am brought to the light or just die, and it never really happened like that. It didn't happen like that for me. I went to my first treatment facility a decade before I got off dope. I showed up there and I thought they were going to be able to fix me, and I lied through my teeth to them. And I came up with stories about how cool I was and whose fault it was and all that nonsense. And I left there and I was loaded within 24 hours. It wasn't very long before I was arrested again. And, that's a great reason to go to rehab, is it's better than jail. So I wound up back in another treatment facility, and once again, I was faking the funk. I learned a little bit of the lingo, the handshake, and all that along the way. And I could pretend for a little while, but I was cheating at solitaire. None of those people were there to get me clean. I was there to get me clean. But I learned a little bit more about what was wrong. I learned more about the phenomena of craving, the obsessive mind, the compulsive body. I learned the facts about my condition, and that really screwed up my next high. Because when I left that facility feeling some type of way, happy, mad, sad, glad, good or bad, it activated that neuro pathway to survival instinct that tells me it's time to get loaded no matter what. See, like if you were to right now go and hold your breath and take a solemn oath, I'm not breathing. Like a little kid holding himself under the water at a pool and try to hold myself under there as long as I can. In that moment when your brain takes over and says, forget what you think, it's time to breathe, that's where addiction lives. Like, how you doing, Higgy? So like I said, I started slamming dope early, and I paid a whole lot of consequences really early on, and they didn't stop me from getting loaded. All right? It wasn't consequences. It wasn't threats, because they were threatening me with even more consequences, and that didn't stop me from getting loaded. My mommy and daddy tried to bribe me, give me rewards, didn't stop me from getting loaded, and I sunk away everything of meaning and everything worthwhile in my life. I pushed away everybody that loved and cared about me. And all the people that I brought around me, I pretended to love and care about them if I could get something out of it. What's up, Shane? How you doing, my boy? You know, at the end of the day, surrender wasn't something I decided to do. At the end of the day, man, surrender was something that happened to me. I didn't wake up that day and say, I want to be a better man. I didn't show up on a winning streak and say, hey, man, I don't think I can get a little bit better. I showed up just not wanting to die or live. I was broken from the inside out, and I started asking people, what do I do now? What do I do next? See, I was describing all those facilities I went to. Over the course of me trying to get better, I went to 9 separate long-term county-funded residential treatment programs. I spent a total of 27 months in facilities that housed anywhere from 60 to 140 guys. I made bonds with those men. I met their families and their children, their mothers, and their loved ones that came to see them. And over the course of the last 3 years, I watched one after the other die. Right now, overdose is the #1 cause of accidental death in this country. Did you know that? Did you know that the #1 killer of people below the age of 26 in America is overdose? That's mortifying, right? That's mortifying. It's been the #1 killer of my friends, and I watched that happen. I watched it happen one after the other after the next die. I had to do something more, man, and I don't know what that was, and it didn't have any face on it, but I knew what was going on wasn't working, or else my friends wouldn't be dying as fast, and there wouldn't be every front page news talking about an epidemic that's slaughtering us. All right, so I did what I know how to do best, man. I started reaching out to people, man. I was a good little hustler and shaker when I was in the mix. I made sure I knew everybody and all the players and all the places so I could get the best shit and I could be on top of it. So I started putting myself in because I see a whole generation being lost to dope. This is the most I've seen as far as a public outcry is concerned. I've seen some puppet politicians say one thing or another, but I haven't seen much get done. You know, when the conversation about how much Narcan we should give an addict is a real talk, there's something wrong, there's something broken in our system, you know? So all these different treatment facilities I went to, all they're able to do is provide me a safe place to remove me from the substance as best they could, right? Because trust me, it got in there, and introduced me to a lasting program of recovery, right? The program that I was introduced to first was Alcoholics Anonymous, right? I did that to the very best of my very limited capability. I was a half-measuring dude. I got half-measure results, and it gave me a little bit of a conscience, a little bit of awakening of the spirit, but it didn't give me sobriety. It didn't give me that. I didn't get all the way to that spiritual experience, and I went out and I got loaded again. And I came back and I tried this and I tried that, but I kept trying, and I learned that try is kind of the enemy of do. Like, I got out of that fight. I can't beat dope. Dope beat my ass every single time I got in the ring with it. Whether I was thinking about doing it or not doing it, dope whooped my ass. So I got out of that fight. I can't win that fight. I stopped fighting that dude, right? And I got into a different fight. I got into a fight where my mission is to find a more profound connection with the world around me and those I meet along the way. My mission is when somebody asks me for help, to the very best of my very limited capability, I try to find them the help that they need. This year alone, Joanna Gamblin, how you doing? This year alone, not 2018, 2017 cost me 3 very, very dear friends. None of them were a surprise. None of them shocked me. The rapid succession may have had me a little bit awestruck, but it was a reminder why why I'm here and why we're inundated in this, and why every time that I meet somebody, I'm trying to talk to them about how we can be a better person. If we talk to people in the industry, what can we do different? What can we change? If you go to a treatment facility in the United States, if you go to seek substance abuse treatment, the average of facilities you're going to go to is 9. Actually, I think it's more, but I'm going to say 9. I think it's gone up a bit, right? It's crazy, right? The recidivism rate, the chances of you not going back to a facility with, I'm sorry, somebody's messaging me right now. So the chances of you leaving a facility and not returning to another facility within the first year are 3 to 5%. 3 to 5%, that's not a success ratio. So what can we do different? You know, what is we are uniquely qualified to work with other addicts. We've got this disease and understand it more than anybody else ever possibly could. No matter how many books you read or how much schooling you've done, if you don't understand the phenomenon because you haven't experienced it in your own life, then you don't have a firm grip on the problem. I have a firm grip on my problem right now. It's between my ears. It lies to me in the most convincing voice of all my own. It tries to tell me things like I'm not worth it. I'm never going to be worth a damn. I'm nothing but a convict, loser, scumbag, dope fiend. It starts telling me all that stuff so it can chip away at me. And then it waits for little events and little circumstances in my life so it can really grab a hold of me. Right? It's insidious, but it's not external to me. It's a part of me. It's who I am. It's inside of my head. So how do I combat something like that? I can't, man. I can't combat me. So I seek the power of something greater than myself. I've come to the very firm conviction and conclusion that there is a God. That's as far as I've gotten. And that's enough for today. It's enough for today. I mean, believing in a power greater than myself wasn't a hard concept for me to wrap my head around. The San Diego Sheriff's Department was a power greater than myself. You know, there was many institutions that had more power than me. I was aware of that stuff. I had been in the ocean and hit by a wave. I knew there was powers greater than myself. But to find that seeking of the ultimate power there, and that's really where it's been found, is in the seeking. I haven't been able to put a face on it, but I know that it works. I know that it works. You know, as I pray to God, I see more of God in everything around me. I see my friends like Timothy here, who nobody I've ever met and I think deserves more of what he's got right now. He's going to help many, many people, and I can see that in his actions and what's happened in his life. And I get to watch that today. There was a time in my life when if you came within my proximity, if you were unfortunate enough to know me, you wound up paying the price for that. And sure, I said, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, over and over again. People thought I was apologizing. I wasn't. I was describing myself. I was a sorry fool. I reached what I hope was a perfect surrender. I try to reaffirm that as often as possible. Tell myself that I got no ability to do anything about dope. Dope one, right? I don't know. I can't decide if I'm gonna, when I'm gonna, and how much I'm gonna use again. I've put myself beyond the power of choice. I rely on something else for that. I seek to maintain my spiritual condition, and that gets me through just one more day. And sometimes that's got to be enough. Just one day without putting a needle in my arm has got to be enough, right? Other days, the blessings come in droves, one after the next after the next. You know, every day there's a new challenge in the life that I'm living now. Every day there's a guy telling me the same lies I've told a billion times. Every day there's a drug addict still looking at me stone cold, tweaked out of his head, or gouged out on something, telling me he's not, all right? And I got to look him right in the eye and go, wow, man, like I remember, I get to see me in that. I get to see me. And with that, I get to have some compassion, some tolerance, some love. And I get to meet them where they're at. Like, I think that in a country that spends 10 times more money on treating drug addicts than it does on drugs, in a country that more people die from accidental death caused by overdose than anything else, in a country whose laws and policies propagated this epidemic and this disaster, We all need to come together and decide that this isn't a them problem. This isn't an us problem. This is an our problem. We need to do something about it. Now, I'm not saying wash away the brick and the mortar and get rid of the whole industry itself. I'm saying realign and readjust the way that we approach everybody, the way that we approach the act, individual care for individuals, long-term and individualized one-on-one treatment care. I mean, the training your feet to go to a program of recovery is something that takes time to do, not 28 days, man. Sitting in a detox facility where they give you detox meds that you need to detox from is like trading seats in the Titanic, right? Going to rehab and not wanting to get clean, getting loaded and telling us you're not, is cheating at solitaire, right? It's like showing up to the doctor on your own behest, telling the doctor it hurts. Doctor says where, and you say, I don't know. Or don't tell him. That's craziness. It's madness. No. At the end of the day, unless we want to get really comfortable with the fact that we're going to watch 175 plus people a day die of overdose, we got to start doing something different. In 2015, 33,000 people passed away from overdose death. In 2016, it was 64,000. And the early numbers for 2017 are 110 plus. I sense a pattern. What's going on? Where's the public outcry? That's more people last year than in the entire Vietnam War, in 1 year, dying in this country with a needle in their arm. That's chemical warfare. All right? And the enemy's within our minds. The enemy's within the makeup and the way we approach and address the problem. So I don't know what the answers are. I don't have all the answers. I know if you reach out to me, I'll answer, but I don't have all the answers to that. I think as a community, we need to come together and start to formulate what that answer might look like, or else more of us are going to die. This is a Survivor series. I was blessed enough to not have died in my addiction. Every time I meet a guy that hasn't died from his addiction and still has a chance, where there's life, there's hope, I do everything that I can to get him to whatever program is going to work for him. And I don't know what that's going to be. I have no idea, because as individual as that person themselves. You know? Do I believe in 12-step recovery? Of course I do. It works perfectly for the people it works for. So, and that be the case for every single modality of recovery there is. Do I have a problem with Suboxone or medicated assisted treatment? No. Anything that keeps you off of the thing that's going to kill you, as long as we're moving towards the eventual goal of being off dope. Anything that we can do to stop losing that many people a day, I'm game for. And the ones that want to stick around and find a path to a spiritual awakening, find a spiritual experience, and live a new way of life, the ones that want to do that, those are the ones that are going to stick around and we can help. But there's too many people dying right now. I manage a sober living facility now. It's called Atrium Sober Living out here in the Coachella Valley, right? On a pretty regular basis, we deal with a relapse, we deal with an overdose, we deal with a death. We carried a cross up the hill here in Palm Springs and planted in there in commemoration of overdose deaths. And everybody wrote the name on there of somebody they knew that died. The cross doesn't have any room left on it for any more names to be written. Right? Everybody that I know knows somebody that has died from overdose, if not one or two or more. Every family, whether they be an addict or not. I've made it a mission to make as many connections as I can with as many people doing as many different things to combat this epidemic, to combat this disease as I possibly could, because I believe every single individual deserves the right to individualized care. I believe every single person, when they are sick with an illness that is fatal and progressive, deserves the right to find a treatment modality that will work for them. And sure, willingness is the key. If you're not ready yet, it doesn't matter. We're wasting our time. We're just planting seeds in your head and screwing up your next high. Like if you're still out there and you're still suffering and you're still using, I wish you pain, and not in a malicious way, because that's what worked for me. It had to hurt. Had to hurt really bad. I hope it brings you to the brink of pain when you don't want to live anymore and you don't want to die and you don't know what else to do, because that's where surrender is. That's where powerlessness and the real understanding of that comes in. Most of us, when we're in the grips of our addiction, can identify unmanageability really easily. You know, I'm broke down in a stolen car that I live in with a roommate, right? That's pretty unmanageable. I'm in jail. I'm in rehab. These are unmanageable. I'm asking another place to manage my life for me is a pretty unmanageable life. But powerlessness, man, that's the one thing that slips through our fingertips. It slips through our understanding. We think that at some point in time we regain that, and that's not the case. I seek a power. I seek a power greater than myself that will keep me from picking up again. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna at some point in time or another be without an effective mental defense against my next fix. I'm going to slam dope again. I don't think it's going to happen again. I know it's going to happen again. All right? I got 25 years of history that shows me that I slam dope no matter what. All right? So in my mind, I know that that's coming again. So it pushes me to do more. If you're a 12-step guy and you're working a 12-step program and you find yourself stuck on a particular step beyond the first one, it's not a problem with that step. You're not convinced. Go back to one. Check it out again. Look at it again. Take a real glance at your using and think to yourself, why would any sane person choose to do that? I can't do anything about whether or not I pick up dope, use dope. I can do something about whether or not I seek God, find a fellowship, work a program. But dope, I've lost that fight. I got out of that ring. All right? Now, knowing that, I've returned to it. Like a fool to his folly, this dog has returned to his vomit. All right? Knowing that, right? Knowing that the only thing that's ever kept me from my child and being a real father is dope. The only thing that's ever smashed my career into the ground is dope. Kept me from my mom and dad, dope, my family. Everything that has ever screwed my life up is base rooted in dope. I've returned to it after long periods of time away from it. Now, that'd be insane. I have to be an insane person, right? That's all we're talking about, two right there. That's the only insanity, not mental or emotional disorders. We're talking about the insanity that precedes the first fix. The insanity that goes on in my head that I'm not able to see because crazy people don't know they're crazy. That insanity that tells me it's all right to put a needle back in my arm again and start this merry-go-round all back over. So I can't do shit about either of those two things. So what do? I seek the power in something greater than myself that I don't fully understand at all. I was raised in a religion and all their dogma and doctrine never sunk in. You know, all I know is today there's a power out there that is bigger than me and I've got my own theories on it, but it's an individual thing. Whatever you believe when I say the word God or power greater than yourself, that's you. That's personal. That's your concept. Every one of us inside, and I'll quote right out of some literature, inside of every man, woman, and child is a fundamental concept of God, but it is often obscured by calamity, pomp, and worship of other things. What does that mean? It means I can't see God because of the chaos in my life that I let distract me from it. I can't see God because of the pomp, me thinking how great I am and that I'm capable of accomplishing the things I'm doing. It doesn't come from anywhere that, right? And worship of other things is when I put her, the car, the job, the material possessions, my prestige and my clout in front of my faith in a power greater than me, that calamity, pomp, worship of other things. If I can clear those things away and quiet my mind long enough, then maybe I can hear the messages God's sending me and see it in everything around me. And maybe that day I can maintain my spiritual condition enough to not put a needle in my arm again and go back down that rabbit hole. You know, if you're out there and you're suffering, reach out to somebody, say something. If you got a family member, a loved one that is suffering from this disease, reach out to somebody and say something. This disease is 100% fatal, but it's 100% treatable too. All right? You don't got to pay for it. You don't got to enable it anymore. You bring it out into the light. All right? The stigma that exists behind drug addiction has killed more people than anthrax and than smallpox and than nuclear war. Right? Us feeling shameful about succumbing to our disease prior to knowing anything about the solution is drives more of us to go get loaded again. Right? Someone relapses and they get drummed out of the rooms, or they get thrown out of their facility and onto the street in some faraway place because they got sent there by their insurance company, and that person feels terrible about what's happened, and they know no one's going to believe that they're really sorry and they really want it anymore. So what do they do to cover up that shame and that hurt and that pain? They get loaded again. And then they die, one by one by one. I'm here to tell you, man, you don't got to be shameful anymore. You don't got to hide in the darkness anymore. The only way that we're going to erase that stigma is by not recognizing the judgment that others pass. Who cares what they think or what they say? We got people, friends, family. If you're out there and you're in the field of treatment, or you're an addict yourself in recovery, or you're a using addict out there, you understand what I mean. You know people that have died, close ones that you love. We got to do more. We got to do something different. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know if I continue doing it, I'll get through one more day. I know if I keep doing it, I'll keep meeting my friend like Timothy here with Chasing Recovery, like Higgy with No More Heroin, like Tony Ray we talked to from Recover or Die, like all the amazing people that I've gotten to know and that are dedicated solely to helping other addicts find a path away from that cage, that prison. The loneliest, scariest, most dangerous prison I've ever been to in my life is between my ears. So if I don't say something about what's going on here, if I don't say something when I'm feeling some type of way, who's going to know? And then it's only a matter of time before dope crops its ugly little head up and boom, I'm loaded. And once that obsession hits, man, you could drop me off in the frozen tundra wearing a bikini bottom. If I'm going to get dope, I'll find it before a coach. I guarantee it. The only thing that can stand between me and my next fix is a God that I don't fully understand yet, but I understand is there. And so long as I seek more knowledge of that, more connection and more communication with that, my life gets bigger and better. So long as I seek to do the next appropriate thing, and I fail constantly, my life gets better. It grows, right? Like I'm a flawed and imperfect individual. I got defects and I got shortcomings, and I've learned that a defect of character is like having a three-wheeled skateboard. That's a defect of character. A shortcoming is like entering into a skateboarding race thinking that you're going to win with only three wheels. I recognize and I know the things that are defective inside of me. I also know that I'm not very capable of doing anything about those on my own. So I seek the ability to do that elsewhere in a spiritual sense. I don't want to preach my own personal dogma. What I do want to tell anybody is if you're out there and you're suffering, you don't have to. There is a path out there that is individual for you. Right? We recover together. We have fellowships. You're never going to be alone in this, but it's not a team sport. You got to take the action. You got to be willing. And you got to be ready. Until that time comes, I hope you don't die. But I hope you hurt. I hope you hurt real bad. Real bad. And get to one of us before you do. Addicts breed more of us. That's all there is to it. I can't even count or even imagine how many people got loaded because of me. Because the dope I put on the street, or the dope I did with them, or the ones I turned on to it, and all the shit that went along the way, the trauma and harm that I caused people, and the pain, I don't get to erase any of that. That's all still there. Right? None of the good that I'll ever do will ever take any of that away. But if I do a little bit each day, if I maintain a conscious sense of what's going on around me, my life gets a little bit better. I feel a little bit better about me, and I feel like I get a chance to help more people. And that's what this is based on. I mean, I saw someone posting something today, and I've seen it a couple different times. When is it appropriate to jump in the mix and start helping others and start being of service? Immediately. Right away. Day one. All right? Find the guy that's more screwed up than you, that knows less that's going on, or pick up some butts, or do something. Get in the mix, get in the herd, start helping others, and see what happens with your life. If you can't get off that dope and you've been trying for a real long time, try is the enemy of do. All right? I wanted to get clean for a really long time before I was before I was gifted with that ability. I needed to for even longer before that. All right? If you're out there and you're suffering, reach out to somebody. I don't care who. I don't care if you Google, I got a drug problem, and a 1-800 number pops up. Call it. All right? Do something. Find a meeting. Find somebody who's got the same problem as you. Do something about it right away, or else that's it. man, or else you're risking death. If you're injecting a lethal substance, the odds of you dying are pretty high, right? The disease is 100% fatal. If you know somebody that's died from it and decided to get high because of how you felt about that, you understand what I'm saying here. Like, I don't know. I see people talking about how saving lives. I've never saved anybody's life my entire life, right? Not even my own. Right? That comes from somewhere else. And I may have been able to say some things that may have inspired somebody to go seek some assistance somewhere else, and that's awesome. I feel really good when people thank me for having done shit like that, because that's not me. I'm not a guy that has a long-standing history of helping others, right? I'm not a guy that seeks to uplift those around him. I'm a guy that cheats, lies, steals, that does everything he can to make sure that I get what I want and what I need and what makes me feel good, right? And I haven't been cloned, right? But through action, I've been able to think a little bit differently, right? I haven't been able to think my way into acting differently. I was able to act my way into thinking differently. And today, I don't leave a wake of victims behind me, and that's not nothing I'm capable of. I ask for that. I ask for that on a daily basis to a God I don't understand, I don't know much about, but I know is there. Right? And I do it in my head, and I do it in my way. Whatever it is that you find that works for you, that gives you that sense of ease and comfort, that makes you feel like you're moving towards it, keep doing it. If you haven't gotten there yet, reach out, ask somebody who has. What do I do now? You know, call me, Higgy, any of the countless people you can find by Facebook alone. You know, we're out there. We are out there, and we are dependent upon you so that we can stay good too, right? If I don't help the addict that's still suffering, the chances of me getting sick again are pretty high. You know, I'm going to quote again from some literature here, man. It says that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking, I'll put tweaking in there, as intensive work with another alcoholic or addict. You know, those are big words, ensure, immunity. I want some of that. So that's what I do. And on a daily basis, I do a few things that keep me out of the spoon and keep me from putting a needle in my arm. And as a result of that, I don't hurt people anymore, and I feel a little bit better about me. When people ask me for help, I do the very best I can to help them or guide them or point them in the direction of somebody that can. And I get to feel a little bit better about me. And at the end of the day, man, like, what you think of me really, you know, that matters to me. I'm not going to say it doesn't, you know, but what I think of me, that could kill me. That could kill me. So again, man, like, if you're suffering out there, you're not alone. There's people out here, lots of us, that suffer just like you, if not worse, have found a way out. We got no magic wand on this thing. There's a monkey see, monkey do thing. Find one of us, start following us around, get in our hip pocket till you figure out what it is we're doing that works, and start doing that too. And eventually you'll look to your side and you'll find out you got somebody in your hip pocket following you too. Higgy, man, I want to thank you very much for asking me to do this. I know I kind of went off on a few little tangents there. I don't like getting too much into my story. You know, we all got, if you go through every single addict that's going to see this, or in the rooms of recovery or in treatment facilities, and ask them to name some awful characteristic of their disease, I got that too. You know, homelessness, incarceration, Hep C, all overdoses, friends dead, all that stuff. I got all that stuff. Everybody, I can talk about the disease and the sickness all day long, but we all know what that looks like. The solution is this. I showed up humbled and broken, and I asked them, what do I do now? They told me, and I did it. They gave me a book, and I read that book, and that book told me when to pray, when to write, when to work with others, told me what to do, so I did what it said to do. As a result of that, I don't put a needle in my arm to get high anymore, and I have no more victims in my wake. If you want some of that, find somebody that's doing that, follow them around and do what they do. Thank you very much for letting me share with you guys. You guys have a blessed day. No more heroin.